Okay. Well, welcome to the Grosse Ile Communication Commission meeting for February 12th, 2014, and we are beginning at 7:09. Has everybody had time to look at the agenda as presented?
Yep.
Is there any amendment that we might want to add? I think there is one item for new business.
Yeah, I wanted to at least add either discussion or new business, just the budget for the 2014-2015 year.
Okay.
Just because we're going through preliminary budget hearings and want to make sure everybody's good with what we have.
Okay.
So it's going under new business or under discussion?
Discussion's fine.
Well,
Yeah, because we always have, it's regular business every year, so
okay.
discussion. Great, and all those in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? And it has passed. All righty.
Give me 1 second to
Take
catch
your
up
time.
here. Motion by Lauren.
Yeah.
Second by,
Pretend you seconded.
I thought it was
second.
Richard.
I second.
And then all aye. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Has everybody had a chance to look at our November 6th minutes?
Yep. I'll make a motion to approve the November 6, 2013 minutes.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And opposed? None. Okay, great. We're moving right along. Reports of standing committee. Mrs. Smith.
I don't have a whole lot. I know that you were inquiring about the 100th anniversary logo. We should probably have some headway sometime
Good.
early next week so that we can get that, make sure that that's incorporated with the website.
Yes.
The other thing is I was informed the other day that we are going to have a 100th anniversary event sometime in October.
Great.
So I think I'm going to be probably working with the Historical Society. I think that they've got some ideas and some
I've heard they've got
hands-on
a-
stuff. So they've
yeah.
got some things already probably in the pipeline. So more information to come on that.
Good.
I did mention that we're in the preliminary processes of doing the budget hearings. So, tonight we should discuss that just real quickly. Outside of that, I don't have anything else really to report at this time.
Okey-doke, thank you. Ted, our cable supervisor, manager?
Okay, a couple of things I should go through since we haven't met since November. You guys are all aware that we've had snow, and we've had some closings here. The first snow event, right after the first of the year, things went very smooth as far as the management and the snow getting clear. As far as the communications, it could have gone a little smoother. What was happening is that I could not get into my computer because my computer went to sleep and shuts off after a certain amount of time. So there was a very informative and very constructive meeting about 3 days after the snow event, and everything was talked, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And since then, we have, with Cygnus, we have gone through, and my computer now never shuts off, so it's accessible from anywhere. My phone, computer, anywhere, it's accessible. We double-checked the communication link between the police department and the public safety building and my computer. We also double-checked the link between my computer and the communication computer in the control room. So everything's working, and through Log Me In, we can get in from anywhere, from any smart device. So that's part of the safety procedures that the township is providing to the citizens. In conjunction with that, I've had preliminary talks with Duncan and Joe Porcerelli and Brian Loftus about putting together one of those short pieces that we are doing with the police department, something like that. Subtitled right now just for a working title called Emergency. I think it's everybody's opinion that the people on the island really don't know all the communications and emergency procedures that are in place and functioning on the island. So we're talking about doing a piece and informing the citizenry about that. So I think that's a positive step that came out of the meeting that we had after the snow event. So
Well, hopefully you can
just-
do it while we're still snow.
yeah, preliminary, we do have a radio station. We have call, I don't know, the police department can call everybody that you're registered.
Reverse call, I think it's called.
Reverse calling.
Yeah.
We have Facebook, we're up to 763 as of tonight. With that's up there, Twitter, we have, and the webpage. So all those things are available, and the community bulletin board. So all those things are available, and I think we're pretty well covered. But I just want everybody to know that we have double checked everything, and the clog in the whole link was that computers go to sleep and the computers shut off. So we fixed that.
Uta, you'd like to say something?
Thank you. Yeah, Ted, I just wanted to clarify, when you say your computer, you mean the GITV computer here
Computer
at
on
the
my
township?
desk.
At the desk?
Yeah, right now everything's set up that I can do it from my desk and control a room here from my desk. Now all I have to do is get into my computer. And the same is available to the police department, where they can create a message on PowerPoint, in the computer here, put it up, and then change it to just run the message. So they can control both the PowerPoint presentation and they can control the TV. So if necessary, that's just one of the many things that are in place.
Now, you also had a remote situation that you can do from home, right?
I have a laptop at home
Yeah.
that I can get into, and as of now, I can get in from my phone. So wherever, when this situation happened, I wasn't even home. So when
Right.
I got calls from Lorenda, I got calls from Dale, I got calls from the police department, all giving me information that they wanted up, and I was able to get it on Facebook and Twitter. I wasn't able to get it on the bulletin board in the webpage because I couldn't get into my computer. But that, like I said, that's taken care of.
But as I recall, I made a phone call, and you happened to be at your desk on a day that the township was closed because of the situation. So that's to be commended, that you risked your safety to come in and get it up for the community. And I want that to be acknowledged.
I don't want to be here,
But you did.
I had two choices: stay at home and go stir crazy, or come to work. So.
When I called and you answered the phone, what are you doing there? I was leaving you a message. But anyways, I wanted to commend you on that because that was, above and beyond. The township was closed and you came in.
Well, the only reason I did that is because I couldn't get into the webpage, and there was additional information. Brian was putting out messages, and he had sent me a second message, and I felt it needed to get up, and then I got it on the community bulletin board too. So that's the only reason. Also,
One more thing before you move it. The public safety information, as far as the alerts, is called First Alert. Maybe we could post some of that information on the social media so that they know how to actually log in through the web to put in their phone number so that they get the text messages that are immediate, so they can either be called via phone, text message, so it's kind of like a robocall.
I think the phones, isn't that, there's a listing. That's Joe.
Listing you have to register at the
yeah.
phone. I'll get with
Right.
Duncan
Yeah,
and
he
Yeah.
knows all about it, so maybe see if you
and
can
see if
post
there's
that.
something.
Yeah.
I know they have a brochure, and
Yeah.
we have all their safety, and on every page of the present web page, there's that yellow button
Right.
that goes right to all the emergency information.
Right.
It's just that talking to the citizens and, at lunch and stuff, they don't know. It's just that it hasn't been important, and they haven't, either they forgot or they haven't read it. And just another effort to get that information out would be,
Yeah.
and Joe and Duncan and Brian all received that idea well, so I think we're going to proceed on that.
Well, but Ted, And commissioners, with all due respect too, as a parent of a school-aged kid, I think most of us, our eyes were glued to Click on Detroit, Just Weather, for school closings, and I know that the school did a really fine job in having those calls placed to homes when it was late, a late decision to close. And so I think, we all know what our sources are. It never hurts to add to those sources and to keep educating about the sources. But at the same time, I think our residents are also savvy to the other sources that they have.
Well, my grandson taught me something also during that event. There's also an app that you can go to and list the school districts that you want to be informed of. And as soon as the school district calls it comes to your phone and lets you know immediately. And his motives weren't pure. It's his way of telling me, Grandpa, I'm not in school, you can take me to a movie. So that's why he put it on my phone.
I think it's great.
Well, we found out from the school, little Kiernan, he'll probably hate me for this, but he's now an 8th grader going into high school, and they had the high school orientation. And Principal Jim Stewart pointed out to the parents that they could sign up to receive email alerts at Grosse Ile High School through sending them a message initially. And so there are just lots of different ways of people available to people for gathering the kind of information that they need to gather. So while it's great that we provide it, we are not the only source. So we fill a niche for sure, but
Kathy emailed me a week ago about school closings. Now, I don't feel comfortable taking information from the school and just putting it on, the Grosse Ile Facebook page says the official information, so to me that's kind of sacred unless I get information from the township that I know is the other thing is, a while back there was an incident at the school. Everybody jumped on the incident, put the information out, and it wasn't 100% accurate. And it got 3,000 hits, and the retraction only got like 1,000 hits. So I'm very careful what I put on the Facebook, but if the school, if we communicate with the school and the school says go ahead, then I think we could be a source of that too, and put it and use, put it on Facebook. But like I said, I'm very, kind of leery of what I put up there because I don't want it to come from any source other than the township. I mean, there's other web pages, Grosse Ile informational web pages out there that put out information, and the Ile Camera puts out information. But like I said, I'm leery unless it comes from
The school.
From the school.
Yeah.
And we have their permission, and also if the information doesn't come from the township. So.
But you are on the school's list, correct, to get the closings?
Yeah, well, on my app, I don't,
Just the more we can, hopefully there won't be any more school closings. Hopefully, I think they're running out of days.
I agree with you about being very careful about the information we set out.
I really don't ever want to get caught putting out wrong information on the grow. If you go to my Facebook page, don't trust everything I put out there. But on the Grosse Ile one, I want to make sure it's accurate. We also, in the course of this, we weren't happy with. I had some trouble 2 or 3 times since our last meeting with our computer and that puts on the community bulletin board houses that. I think that was the one that was purchased in 2003, and Cygnus came out and fixed it. But what was happening, for some reason, it was jumping from one drive to another. So we have ordered a new computer for the control room to house the community bulletin board, and it's replacing a 10, 12-year-old computer. We're also, the computer in this unit was from 2005. There's been 2 or 3 webinars that DPS and the Airport Commission have wanted, our Airport Department have wanted to use the room for, and we get to the site and this software and this computer isn't compatible, and wouldn't let us show the video or show the webinar. So we're going to upgrade the computer here, so we ordered one here. The other thing is, there's a computer in both workstations. This one here has probably been used 5 times, and I don't think this one's been turned on since we opened the building. So we're probably going to just pull both of them, and there won't be a computer at those 2 workstations anymore. Everybody else is, Dale now has a iPad, and I think all the trustees have
Yeah,
iPads,
trustees.
and I think that's the direction we're going to be going.
So when are those new computers going to be installed?
We confirmed the order today,
Okay.
so I don't know whenever Cygnus is handling that.
Okay.
So this one will be up to date, so that it'll also have, we're going to eliminate the DVR, the DVD, and the VCR. We won't have the capability for videotapes anymore, but we haven't had one in years, so the computer will have the DVD capabilities in it, so that's what's going to take place here. In front of you, I gave you two things. One's the budget, and one's the year-end report. On March 24th, you're all invited to the open house at 6:30. The meeting starts at the annual meeting at 7:15, and the business meeting to follow. This is I've given Sharon a copy. So read this. If there's something you want to change, something you want to add, something you want to delete, feel free. I think it's a pretty accurate description of the things that we did last year. So that's one of the things that need your input. And the other thing is the budget. We haven't done a whole lot of video in January. Most of the meetings were canceled, so I think the 2 township meetings were the only ones that were on. So if you guys want to go through the budget or go through the report, I'm here.
Okay. Well, why don't we do that with the discussion item? Okay?
Okay.
All righty, thank you. It's been a busy time. Even though we haven't met since November officially, we have met, just so the public knows. We've been working, and we've had study sessions that were open to the public. Unfortunately, no one attended besides us, but, we extended our invitation. We're working diligently on the website. We have some new information. We now have the top-of-the-line graphic artist working for us. Yes, I had a little visit, and it was very productive. So now we have the top of the line. The same person who did the website for Pontiac is now on our site, and he also did Treasure Island, which is a beautiful website. And one thing on Treasure Island, just that I can say, and this ties into my discussion. They put a little credit for all the beautiful pictures that the residents, and we are going to be doing that. And we also have another person his name is Justin Orman. He's a local young man. He's a photographer. He's about 24, so again, that's good demographics. And I've contacted him, and he's very interested in adding his photos that we can share. So we have over 300 professional pictures to choose from, which is wonderful, and we will have more. And we'll give everybody credit, the EEL camera and all that. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited that now we have the highest caliber, which is what our tax dollars deserve. Okay, so we're working on that, and we should have a new iteration within about a week or so, and I'll pass it out to everybody, and there should be a lot of changes and a lot of improvement. I've also talked to Revise, our vendor, and we have a liaison person named Denise, and she and I have already started talking about the site migration, because we are ready. We've cleaned it up, and we've paid for them to do the site migration, so that's good. So we're on board with that. I've had a conversation 3 times with Mr. Ice, our superintendent of schools, the admin, per your suggestion, Uta, that we have a young person who might be interested. They've been obviously tied up with school closings repeatedly. They're very interested there's nothing hard and fast, but they do have a website class. And that would be a perfect tie-in for our group. And they could get involved, and maybe we could even, they could do some updating with, Ted and stuff like that. So they're very interested, and we will hear from them, I'm sure, within the next month. There's not a doubt. But they were very happy, and they thought the hands-on would be just wonderful. And we will continue to pursue it, and they thanked me for doing this. Lastly, I guess the Wi-Fi, we were going to be talking about that.
Number 7.
Number 7, yeah, we can do that later. But anyways, it's been a busy month, and I think they're going to be very pleased when we get done, and Revise is on board giving us the best possible website we can have.
Great. Did you
So-
let them know that May 1st is our target?
I told them April 1st is what we want. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay.
I really
Okay, great.
don't. Once we've done the hard work. The one thing that I did want to talk about with the forms, we have to make them active. They send them across, but they show us how to make them active. That's part of our charge to do. So I wanted that just because we do a form doesn't mean it goes live and interactive. We have to do that part. They will show us how to do it. That's part of the training. It's not supposed to be a lot of work, but I wanted. Well, I wanted to make sure, because I have talked to people, and some people say, oh, it's a lot of work, and other people, it's not a big deal. They've done it. They've done hundreds of these. They've done like 700, so I'm not too concerned. But that's something I wanted to let us know, that just because we send a form over, even if it's updated or not, we will have to make it active if we want it interactive. So that's that. So that's all I have to say. Any questions? Okay. Our next point is... Now, we did the status of the website. The commission attendance and participation. The reason I wanted to bring this up is one of our commissioners, Sharon Thomas, has a class, and she was concerned about not participating and if we had a problem with that. And we had an informal discussion at our study session, and since we missed one meeting because of the weather and all that, and we didn't have a quorum, I think she'll be back within a month, so I don't think it's an issue for anybody. I just wanted to let people know that she's very interested, but she wouldn't stand in our way. And
Right.
she's just been a wonderful participated person. I think
As
we
long
should.
as she's communicating with you?
Oh, yes.
That's perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
When are we going to get a live version to look at the website?
What I've been getting is a ping version. Until the artwork is done, we don't get a live one.
Okay, because I have 2 people lined up who are willing to push the buttons to see if...
Oh, good. Well, that'll be part of our beta testing.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna try and break it.
Yep, they're going to...
And that's fine. And you know what? Better we find it than somebody else point it out to us.
Right.
We don't need that. We work too hard.
One is a very strong computer person.
And how is your brother?
No, it's actually my nephew who's going to be doing it.
Even better. The younger
Yeah.
ones are smarter.
His
Okay.
dad's a computer engineer, so...
So when we get that, everybody's going to be beta testing it, and it should be, I don't think we'll have a problem. Within a week, we'll have a pretty good look at what we want. And then it's just going forward, and we've updated all the information. Yes.
Well, I just want to go back one step to discussion B, commission attendance and participation. And I received a letter in the mail from Carol Knope about re-upping for commission status, and I have not had a chance to respond to Carol, so I guess I'm taking this opportunity to say I'm still interested in being re-upped. So, and I'm sure Richard will speak to his intention, and you just mentioned it for Sharon. So
Yes. Okay, great. We've got a core. Okay.
Richard's just looking at me.
I
He's
just
not-
agree. I agree.
We're not letting you go, Richard.
Just a little tired. I was.
That's all right. You'll get your second win. Summer's coming in about 5 months. Okay. And now, new business. Nomination for the 2014-2015 chair. Do we have any nominations?
I have a nomination I'd like to make. big surprise here. I would like to move that Ms. Kathy Walker continue as the chairperson of the Communication Commission.
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Opposed? No. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. I want to see this website through.
Yes.
And
We want you to see this website through.
it's been great. I've learned. I'll tell you,
No, it has.
it's a lot of knowledge that I'm lucky enough to have the experience. It's been wonderful. Okay, and now the contract regarding standardized forms for. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, we're just zooming here, and while I do want to go home before it gets too late, while we're still going back to the website, and I know this is not something that's in our contract with Revise or anything, but you kind of mentioned how we were going to educate people about how to use the technology and so forth. And I'm not a huge technology person, but I do love watching my Olympics. And so I signed up for a new app that's free from NBC for their digital streaming of 1,050 hours of Olympic events. And as soon as the app went live, there was a 3-screen tutorial on how to use the app. And I thought that was really, really cool. And I'm wondering if that's a page or something we could work into ours for those people who are not as savvy about using technology, that this gives them a little bit of a map on how to use the website.
Are you talking strictly from a smartphone or a
Well,
smart
this is a
app
mobile
or
app,
device?
but they showed
Okay.
on there how to activate the carousel.
Mm-hmm.
They have almost like when they do the drawings on a football broadcast, the lines, the markers, and so forth. They take you to where you scroll up and down, click the play button.
How
What
about a
does that
YouTube?
mean?
How about a YouTube?
Or a YouTube. But I
That's
just
Or you could
thought,
just do a PowerPoint show.
what a great way to introduce
You
people.
can do a PowerPoint to it, and you can actually roll the PowerPoint into a YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah.
And people would right there on our
You
website
volunteering for that? Once
be
it's out?
able to see.
Richard. Are you
Well,
volunteering?
why not? Listen, we've got the equipment,
Have the kids do it.
and yeah,
Kids are fun.
there's nothing out there that we can't do with the equipment we have now. So if that will help, and I'll tell you, I just bought a new camcorder, and I kept looking for instructions, but it was so simple that they didn't think I needed instructions. But
They're all online.
Well, and this would force the young people working in our cable room to talk to us old people. What don't you understand about this?
you know what? That's a great idea, and maybe even to do one of the little apps, because I think I know I have software that can make an app. So we'll see. Let's see what we'll pursue that. That's a great idea.
Just an idea.
Not a problem. Your idea also in the school was a good idea, too. Okay, so now we're on to old business, the Wi-Fi for Water's Edge Complex. I have had discussions with the Rec
Did we
Commission.
finish B? Review business, standardization?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yes, please. Please, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And you brought that up. You sent an email on that,
Oh, hold on.
Lauren. The standardization of forms.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The
okay.
standardized forms for the township. You brought that up. You sent an email about a person that you thought might be of value to do this.
Oh, right. Well, it
Yeah.
was just a matter, I was just sending it to you as far as for your reference.
Oh,
From the
okay.
standpoint of knowing if we
Okay.
wanted to get other bids,
Okay.
to
should get
know
other
what they're,
bids.
yeah, I mean, the
Picking
expense
one
is
person-
minimal, but
It
I mean,
is.
you can certainly go get other bids, so at least you know what you're contracting against.
Picking one person is not a good idea.
Okay. We can do that. We can get an RFP out there.
I don't know
And,
if you do an RFP, I think if you know of, if Ted knows of somebody, or if you guys know of somebody, I mean, because the expense is probably going to be,
Under $1,000.
$100,000, going through an RFP process would
Just slow
it would
things down.
slow things down. I think your best bet is whether you do a verbal quote with the understanding of what we're looking for.
okay, we'll pursue that. Okay. And if we have any personal relationships, we have to, if selected, we have to
Right,
make
and
that.
the individual that I did request that from, she was a past vendor that I used when I was Director of Communications at Lapeer Community Schools.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's also doing some of the stuff for channels and other things.
Okay, so she's already working for
Yeah,
the
she's
township?
already-
Okay. All right, well, we'll see if we can get a couple more. Hopefully, if anybody's listening and has an interest in doing forms for the community, and they would like to give a bid on how much it would cost, and we probably have about 80 of them, 80 forms to do?
I would say probably less than 50.
Less than 50 forms.
My
But if,
conversation with
yeah.
Dale, he was thinking probably less than 50.
Most of them are the rec department, and I think the clerk's office, so, and it's a great idea to have it standardized.
So what we're looking for is someone who can take all the myriad forms that we have and put them into a standard format?
Yeah,
Okay.
same look, same feel, branding,
I have a question about
Which is
that.
good.
typeset.
There are two different types of PDFs you can set up. You can set one up where you can actually enter the data,
Right.
which is much nicer than the ones that you have to print the PDF off and then fill it out manually. I would recommend that we have a PDF, and there's two different types of the ones that you can store. There's one that you can only type the information in and not save it,
Right.
and then there's the kind that you can actually type it in and save it, which is much nicer.
Yeah.
So, but we're not looking for a platform, we're looking for someone to actually come up with a design?
No, they would be doing all of the forms. They would be taking the information that we have from the different departments and recreating every single form.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking is, like, there's, you can do forms through Adobe, and you put them on the internet or
Yeah.
in your intranet at work. Is that the sort of thing that we're looking for, something
Yes.
that then?
Yes, so that when we
Okay.
have a forms library on the new website, everything will be there, and any links and other departmental sites will automatically go to the form that's stored in the web
They will be
library.
standard.
Yeah.
And some of them,
Great idea.
can't be, they can't send it in because they need other pieces of paper. But
Right.
for the most part, if they can be interactive,
Right.
we'll have the capability to do that.
Yeah.
And that's part of our new website.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, today, my company, we put out a proposal to a municipality. And as part of the RFP, the municipality insisted that we use their form to put in our fee schedule. And of course, they sent us the form in paper. So you do what Richard just said. You scan and you use the typewriter feature and you type in the little numbers and you try to make it look nice. And this is a fairly big community. You would think they were sophisticated.
Right.
So if we have something like that, where when we're putting something out to bid, and we already have an electronic bid form for the applicants to fill out, wow! And you're going to get a better class of applicants, I think, by doing that. So this is a really good step.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely something we need.
Yeah.
When we get done, this is going to be a website I think we're all going to be very proud of.
Yeah,
Chair
definitely.
keeps falling down.
Yeah. Okay.
And then as far as those forms, at the last meeting, I think you said that you were going to be working with Dale to get all those and take care of that, or no?
No, I didn't say that,
Okay.
but I will.
Oh,
I'd be
no,
happy
that's okay.
to.
I mean, I can certainly do that portion if you'd like.
No, I had no idea. What I did is, with Ted, we went through everything, and there are forms on.
Right.
But we can collect them. We can go through every page, because we have
Right.
things that, some have been missing, some
I'll
we...
volunteer to do that, because I know you've got your hands full. with a
Okay,
lot of
that'd be
things.
great.
So,
Yeah, the forms-
If we can divide and conquer.
That's fine.
That way, no one person is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
We've got a lot going on, so.
But now that we've got the best guy, I'm real excited. The artwork was really a sticking... Yeah, it has to be... We have to have our money's worth, and now we're gonna really see it. So, yeah, that's fine. You want to do the forms?
Sure.
Great. And we'll get the...
Kathy, going back to we have a date that we got to
Yeah,
have things launched.
we want to have a beta launch.
We want to have a beta launch. Is there any way you can press them into giving us a date so we can have a beta launch?
Well, we told them April 1st, and we don't seem to think that that'll be a problem.
Okay.
Yes. If there is a problem, I'll let everybody know as soon as possible. But, we would be a little bit further ahead if the artwork were where it is. But now it's going to be, so I'm all fine with that.
I just need a point of clarification. Lauren, you volunteered to oversee
Yep.
the hiring of the forms person process?
No.
or
I will
the-
coordinate, making sure that all the departments submit their current forms.
Okay.
So that whoever we do coordinate, or hire to coordinate, or not coordinate, to actually complete the forms,
Okay.
We
we'll
have
pass
quite a,
those over.
yeah, quite a few are already on. But I know that, like the rec department, there's a lot of them,
Right,
yeah, that have to be
Yeah.
developed.
yeah.
And they have to be standardized.
Well,
Well,
yes.
right,
yeah.
exactly. And, when talking about standardization, one of the things actually to bring up now, whether, when you look at standards and you go, okay, well, how do we want phone numbers to be represented on the website? Do you want parentheses around the 734, or do you want hyphens, or do you want dots?
I hate dots.
Well, I'm not saying we have to make a decision.
Dots is European. We're not European.
Right, I'm not saying we have to make a decision now.
No
but-
offense.
But when we look at standards across the board, especially with the website,
Yes,
the
it should be
website
the same.
probably drive everything else that we're
dashes.
doing.
Yes.
Is,
I agree.
utilizing extensions, do we say EXT period, or do we use an X-705? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the type of things that, standards that maybe, I don't know if a subcommittee needs to be formed to take a look at those sort of questions and come back with a recommendation, or say, you know what, based on what's, and maybe we talk to Sharon, because Sharon
I was
kind
just
of
gonna say,
oversees a lot of this stuff in the
the
clerk's
clerk
office.
department.
So maybe just
Yeah.
talking with her.
Sharon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You get a committee involved and it'll
Yeah.
take forever.
but it does make it look much more professional when everything is the same.
Right.
I hate when I see dashes
Yeah.
and...
And it should be
that's-
uniform across everything.
It should be,
So-
and that's what we're working toward.
Right.
I mean, everything will feed off of the website, and then, as long as we follow what Sharon tells us to do.
That's right.
That's right. That's great. No, I think that's...
Deputy rules,
Yeah, well, she's very useful,
as I say from Clerk Ranka's chair.
but we've got quite a few of the forms already on there, and some departments only have a few. So it's just collecting them. And Ted, when we went through it, Sharon updated some of her forms too, didn't she? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. All righty, and then we're good on the forms.
Yeah,
and
do we want to talk budget real quick?
Yep.
Before we move on to old business? So I'm looking at this, and Ted, I have a question, I don't know, because the section 120, and I don't know if you're the appropriate person to ask about this, but I thought the section 125 plan, that was relatively new, isn't that supposed to be self-funded or not? Do you know the answer? Otherwise, I can ask Ann. It's 721-001.
$300.
Yeah, $300. It's like midway down the page.
Is that their new selection?
Okay.
That's one of those numbers they hadn't plugs in.
Yeah. Okay, I'll clarify with Ann. I mean, it's no big deal. I just was thinking that I thought it was self-funded. So it looks like our total budget that we're proposing for the 2014-2015 year is $111,717,000. This all looks pretty standard, as it has been in the past, so I don't know if anybody has any questions or concerns, or that you want to talk about anything, but this is the type of thing that's going to be going through the preliminary budget hearing in the next couple of days, so it's kind of speak now or forever hold your peace.
Well, I'm speaking about the Wi-Fi. Are we putting that into our
Can I
budget?
address that?
Yes, please.
Here, this was the directions I got from the finance department. Do not put in any major projects in the budget. Keep the budget simple. And if Wi-Fi and if something else comes up over the course of the year, it would go through a budget adjustment and go in front of the board and be added to the budget. So I guess from Brian's point of view, he wants the budget to streamline and balanced
tight.
and tight as possible. And basically, this is an operation budget. The major change that I put in this budget has to do with the webpage. The webpage is going to have a larger annual cost to the township than it has. I put $12,000, and this was my thinking, as I'm sitting here, I was thinking maybe I should even increase that. Here's the cost off the top of my head. Granicus costs us around $400 or $450 a month, And I think the Revise has a monthly
Maintenance.
around $480. So I rounded that out to $5,000 a piece, and that was 10. I also put $2,000 in there because I think things like the forms and anything, once we get this webpage and we go back to Revise to say, can we do this or can we add this, every little can we is going to have a cost to it.
That's exactly
And
right.
I don't know what those costs are going to be. So I put 12, I added $2,000 to that just for some of those canneries. And, you know, we might find out over the course of the year that it'll be even greater. Another thought that crossed my mind while you guys were talking about the forms is an administrative fee that I think it's 2% that each department pays for administration fees. And I think if we do this form thing, I think this should go under that budget because the forms are gonna, I don't have any forms on the thing, but all the other departments have
Right.
forms.
They can be allocated back.
Maybe Lauren can lead on that and
Sure.
get that under the administration fee, which would give Ann an opportunity to say, well, let's go to 3%. I got just a couple thoughts on the budget, but that was the main thing. And then the equipment, just so you know that, you know, the wish list, Kathy and I about 18 months ago went to the Thalner Electric. We've been taping things in high definition. We don't own a high definition camera. So one of the gentlemen that I hire as a freelancer has one, so I've been using his camera, and we also have been working with Riverview using their high definition camera. So when Kathy and I went there, one of the wish lists was to get a high definition camera or two, because sometimes we have multiple cameras shoot. So that's what I put in for the 15. And like, remember, if we don't spend it, we get to the end of the year, it all goes back to the general fund what we don't spend. So, you know, as always, I try to be as conservative as possible with the fees. But
In my experience with Mr. Loftus, lovely person that he is, our supervisor, I still would like to see some money allocated, and if we don't use it, that'd be fine. But I think that Wi-Fi, if we don't, and I'm prepared to come, is the meeting tomorrow, the budget meeting?
Well, I don't know if
I-
that
I'm on
falls,
standby.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
We're a little bit
supposed to be
behind.
this morning, and
yeah.
I got bumped, so.
well, I think I'll come, because I think this is something that the township, it's new to them. The more discussion about the Wi-Fi at Water's Edge, I think, will make them realize that this is a necessity, that you have to spend money to make money. And if you want to have Water's Edge be the jewel that it is, you have to have amenities.
I
Right.
thought Park and Rex was going to look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Real quick, because we're talking about budget and we've got Wi-Fi as the next old business, can we complete the budget conversation and then move on? I mean, it doesn't.
It's
mean that
part
you
of the
can't come,
budget.
but I'm just
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah,
at least if anybody has any changes, we could.
Well, that's the one change I'd like to see added in. I
But this is
think we
what I know
should.
about the Wi-Fi. I know the rec department has said okay, but the communications department to pay for it.
It's all the same money.
That's what I've been told. And then Ann told me that the philosophy of this budget session is to streamline it, and I think Lauren used the word tight, keep it tight.
It's supposed to be tight, yeah.
And then with the caveat that the board will look at additional things if they're decided upon and add to the budget if it's necessary. Remember, and there's many ways of looking at it, but we're getting around $200,000 now from franchise fees, so that there is some money on the board's discretion to spend it on that if they decide to, but I think on the Wi-Fi issue, they haven't made that decision yet, so that's why.
Yeah, and I know right now I'm collecting data on IT expenses. I'm doing some research. I've worked with Annandale. So there is conversations in regards to putting together an IT budget for future
Right.
expenses. The thing is, we don't necessarily know if it's going to happen. It probably won't happen this year, but for next year, because we are getting to a critical mass of making a decision, because IT, just information technology, is going to become a bigger problem. It's never going to become a smaller problem.
Oh.
Because the pace in which things change, and softwares and hardwares and everything else. So that is, I'm going to take that upon myself and just talk to the board about that. One of the things that I'm wondering, as far as it falling in our group or our lap, is, we're supposed to be overseeing, communications being website, GITV. That's not necessarily, IT and Wi-Fi isn't necessarily in our repertoire right now. It doesn't mean that it
fits.
won't come in there.
It fits better than in rec.
No, I get it. But the thing is, like when you look at rec, it's an expense that it should be incurred at the appropriate place. And rec is the appropriate place, being that they oversee the Water's Edge and the marina budgets. So they need to take a look at one. I mean, I've got a couple things. It's like, all right, well, if they're 100% occupied, then they don't have a problem attracting people. Typically, you're not going to go and offer all these extra things if they're already 100%.
Oh.
It doesn't. The thing is, like, we're not a McDonald's, we're not a Starbucks. We don't have a product that we can mark up. The other thing that I'd like to see from either rec or is data talking about the need and demand as to whether this is a reality, because you're serving a very small percentage of the population at that particular place.
It's being 100% occupied isn't the issue. It's getting transient dockage in. It's when they go out on rendezvous. And when they go out on rendezvous, that's when you can bring in serious money to that marina. And that's all gravy money, because you're already renting the docks. They leave, and then they come in. They are going to go to places where they have amenities. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of people saying, I want Wi-Fi. They expect it. Everyone expects it now. The younger ones, especially, they're giving up Wi-Fi at home, and
but they have this. They have this.
But you know what they do? They're not doing the data.
And there's 4G there. So
but they're not doing 4G. What they're doing is only going and using things
hotspots.
To hotspots. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing now. We have to be a hotspot. You have to have that pool area for the people to come, and you know what?
Well, Sharky's already has.
He's got, but it's
Wi-Fi.
not for the pool.
Right.
It's not, and the pool is where you get the moms who are working and who want we have to be proactive. I would hate to think we are the last people, in Michigan to say, yay, we're finally getting Wi-Fi. They're already doing it at the public facilities. They started that in the fall. There's 2 in the entire country at state parks. One is in Michigan. I sent the information. I'll resend it. We have to get on board, or we do not want to be sweet, quiet Grosse Ile. We want to be Grosse Ile, that we can bring people here and have them entertained. People that have expectations now, and it's not just Starbucks, and it's not just Kroger's, and it's not just Island Coney. They expect. We have people coming for those beautiful, what is it? Concerts. Those concerts. They want to sit there, and a lot of them, the young ones, are dropping their data because they don't want to pay for it. They expect this to be done. Now, I understand that the township board wants to keep a budget tight and all that, but you got to spend money to make money. And this is one way you can bring money.
We're not going to make money. This department is not going to make any revenue off of it. You know who will? The rec department. Because if they charge a per user fee, or if they increase the cost of their linear footage as far as rental down at the property, that should be in their budget. That's
fine. We're all working together. It's not. Right. Nobody's saying, I'm a better department than you.
Oh no, that's not what we're saying.
And of course, if there were a problem with Wi-Fi, they wouldn't be going to Mr. Rooney. They'd be going to Ted. So, it just seems logical that we would pay for it. And if you want whatever incremental, it could be kicked back in a chargeback method. There's a lot of ways of handling the numbers. That's not an issue. The issue is, are we going to move forward? Does the board want us to move forward? And if they don't, they're missing out on a huge population of younger people who might find it, when they come over, well, let's go here for lunch, and let's maybe I'll kayak here, and maybe there's things to do on Grosse Ile.
Sure.
And
has there been any, do we know, because there's power lines over there. Typically, when you have power lines, you also have cable lines going over. So we could drop a DSL, we could call whoever's got a line over in that area. They usually co-locate. So you call up whatever provider and say, how much to drop a line on the pole? We put a modem, a commercial grade modem out there that would serve between 50, maybe 60, 75 people at a particular time, which is probably the max that we'd have in that area. So there's other options that might be less expensive to take a look at that might not necessarily have an annual fee that would come and directly hit this particular budget.
But it's almost, and no disrespect, but it's penny wise, pound foolish. Everybody doesn't have just one thing. Most people have between 2 and 3 devices. So when they go somewhere, they'll pull out their phone, they'll pull out their tablet, they'll pull out their... So to have it for 50 people, you're really only going to be servicing about less than 20.
But I mean, the thing is I still don't know that there is the demand. I mean,
Whether there's a demand or not, we have to be ahead of things occasionally. I mean, this is Grosse Ile.
Right,
We
but
are
sometimes budgets don't
Oh,
allow
but-
for that. But anyway, I will put, if this group decides that that's what we should do, then all we can do is bring it to the board for a decision.
And there should be a decision on this. And there are ways we can, we could defer costs. I've said this before. We could charge the couple dollars. I did that study a couple years ago. We can charge a couple dollars every time there's a lookup. It pays for itself. Any of the transient dockage, which they're not collecting at all. And I think they got $600 this past year, which is pitiful.
there's other issues, yeah.
It's pitiful. We can get thousands of dollars in here.
But you look like you wanted to say something.
I'm sorry. I can go on and on this one. We don't want to be.
The main question I have here is that it seems to be should fit into the Park and Recs department. If they want to have it, they say, yes, we're going to have it, and they come up with a method. If they want us to help facilitate that, that's fine, but there needs to be some communication. And the question I have is, other than Ted saying the Park and Rec wants to have it, have the communication department pay for it, what's the plan? If there's no plan, there's no point to go even further.
Kathy, can I just...
Go ahead.
I think that what we've got is a policy question that needs to be answered at the board level.
Yep.
And I think that maybe our recommendation or my recommendation as a member of this commission is to ask Lauren to have that conversation with the liaison from the cable rec commission and Ted with the director of the rec commission, Mr. Rooney, you with Walt Ketcher as chair. The three of you put your heads together and see which way this is going to proceed. What I hear Lauren saying and you saying at the same time is that it really is a capital investment for the township. And the difference of opinion is who makes that decision and who makes that investment. And when we talked about the township investing in Water's Edge, when the township made Water's Edge a fully public facility, took it out of the enterprise zone, the Recreation Commission really looks at Water's Edge now as a whole unit, and they need to promote and fund its capitalization. So when it comes to that, I think there's a really strong motive to have them really look at the fee structure, have them look at what it might cost them to put in and how they will recoup those costs, whether it's direct through a user fee or indirect by having more clientele. And I think I appreciate your point really well, too, is that as we move forward, we have these expectations. And I, for one, too, our Wi-Fi modem collapsed yesterday. And so we thought, we can do a hotspot on my phone. Hey, well, no, that is really expensive when you start counting your data and using up your data. And so I can see why people like using the Wi-Fi option to stream on their phones and their laptops and so forth. So I think we're all headed in the same direction. We just have, we need the board to make a decision on where that funding is going to come from and and the liaisons to decide, is this something desirable? So
So
we
if I
can,
could-
we can certainly push.
Right. Well said, and I think you're right. I think that there needs to be communication, and I think it starts with the people who are the idea people. So whether it's Art Catcher and yourself, whoever's desiring, or whoever's desiring this, put together a project plan or something saying, this is the rationale, this is the data behind it, this is the approximate expenditures, these are the different options that we have in fund, or at least the different options in getting Wi-Fi there, whether you tunnel under the road or whether you drop a line DSL from, tunneling is not difficult at all.
But why would do anything that's...
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, but you get what you pay for.
Right,
We
but
all know
here's the
that.
thing. You're going to have probably a better signal when you do DSL than you do when you have Wi-Fi and you have weather and foliage and all those other things that potentially come in play.
If you
But
have-
anyway, I'm just saying, I mean, we can argue about that all day long, but I'm just saying, put together some sort of 2-3 pages of what you're thinking, what the expectation is, so that way we can say, now we have a starting point. Now we know who to get involved in the mix. So that way, myself and Tom Malvesto can sit down and talk about it with you guys, and then we can go forward.
But I sent out pages and pages of this. Oh, in the last...
Yeah, but it's not in a comprehensive document. It's not...
The
you know-
bid is, we can get more bids from professional marina Wi-Fi people, as opposed to
Right,
a
but there's other options. Like I mentioned, there's a DSL option that you can tunnel through the ground. It's not very expensive. It's fairly easy. It happens all the time.
But
you can
with
put the
marinas,
first
you've
drop
got so
DSL
many
with
things.
A commercial grade modem. So there are different options.
There are
that
options.
could be a lot less expensive and more tolerable. And that way you can say, well, you know what? We're going to try it. If it works, fabulous. And that way we don't have to look at possibly increasing fees to the people who rent space down there. You know,
A dollar or two is nothing.
Right.
But bottom line, Kathy and Lauren, we can't decide
Yeah.
what they do at Water's Edge. There is another commission that has oversight over the facility.
And to me, it seems like it should start there.
Well,
It did.
absolutely.
It did. They
So
came
it's
to
like-
us. They came to me and asked. And I went and did the legwork because I have a little bit of knowledge in this area, and I have access to people who are running, one of them is running the largest marina in the state of Michigan. And I get all the information possible, which most people would not have access to this. And the thing is, if we don't put it in the budget as a suggestion, it can always be knocked out. It's harder to get it in later than putting it in first and then they knock it out. It's just the way of looking at things. If it's there and we don't use it because we haven't satisfactorily supported it to the board, that's one thing. But if we don't put it in, then it seems like a lot more. It's a higher jump
Why do they feel that we need to pay for it?
because it would be the area that we would probably be in control
No,
of.
because we don't
What does
pay
it
for
matter?
Wi-Fi at Centennial Farms, we don't pay for Wi-Fi at the police station.
And you
we don't pay
should have Wi-Fi at Centennial Farms because there
There is
isn't.
Wi-Fi.
I'm
There is
sorry.
none.
I'm sorry, at Sharky's, you know, so you look at all the different buildings and properties that we have, and we don't necessarily take care of
I
the
think that
technology
goes,
fees that come.
that goes to the, maybe that is a
time.
cause for the IT
Department.
department
IT
or
department.
because again,
Budget,
is
yeah.
when you look at our vision statement here and what we talked about, is that really in the jurisdiction of the Communication Commission?
Right.
And I think while it would make a lot of sense for us to discuss upgrading the Wi-Fi capability inside this building, where we really do have quite a bit of jurisdiction in that regard, facilitating communication in Township Hall. Water's Edge, I think that discussion needs to be redirected. And if it did start at Water's Edge, which I totally understand, then I think we just need to redirect that. And maybe we need you as liaison to work with, and you as chair to redirect the chair and the director and the liaison to say, you know what, let's work either toward an IT commission or, writing this down. I don't see that we have that kind of, whether or not we put it in the budget, I don't think we have the jurisdiction to do something like that, personally. I've said this before.
Yeah, I
so,
know. It's just, there's no other group that has the technology, and it seems like as we are moving forward, it'll be our charge, it'll be somebody's charge, and we are the most logical people to do it. And whether it's this budget or that, it's just a different pocket. It doesn't matter which pocket it comes out of. It's all township money or township revenue or the revenue from the cable revenue. It doesn't matter whose pocket's paying for it, because they would sit there and say, well, this isn't working. Ted? I mean, it just goes back to Ted. It goes back to this area.
Well, not necessarily.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
And I may be totally wrong, and I apologize if I am.
Okay.
I totally agree with Kathy that Wi-Fi everywhere is the future.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing that. I agree, it's become an expectation, but sometimes you can't.
That said, I don't think us as a commission and a department have the right to dictate to the rec department. We could say, vote tonight, say, we recommend that the rec department look into Wi-Fi, but we don't have the recommendation to dictate. We can't dictate to them that they want Wi-Fi. If they don't want Wi-Fi, we could vote all night long and put it in the budget, and they wouldn't get it. That said, I think they want it.
They do.
Okay? Now, if we go tomorrow and say, okay, we're going to put $10,000, $12,000 in for Wi-Fi, we're volunteering to pay for it. I mean, we're saying, okay, we'll pay. And that
Just slippery
decision,
slope.
that decision should be probably made at the board. So, I mean, we could say, oh yeah, we're willing to add that. But I think we have a guarantee, at least I feel, from Ann and from Brian through Ann, that if this decision is made, whether it's over there, whether it's over here, and the board makes the decision, Brian has kind of told Ann that he and the board will look at that expenditure at that time. And I mean, I could go tomorrow and say, let's put $10,000 in for Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But and I haven't personally talked to Brian, but from what I understand, this year's philosophy is he'd rather not have that in the budget at this point. But he's willing to look at it come June, July, or August if this decision's made. So
it's another year.
you know what? You're right.
It's
You're
another
probably
year.
right. But what this could all, go fast. If you call Walt tomorrow and say, you guys say you want it, I want you to have it, let's get together and figure out what we're going to recommend to the board, because the board's going to decide this issue.
Mm-hmm.
So this commission and that commission have to get together and decide. Now, Tim and I, we're going to do whatever you guys decide. That's our job. So if you guys decide we walk backwards and a tutu, that's what we're going to do. I mean, but the bottom line is, you and Walt should get together, start the ball rolling, and you might have it going by March.
And that makes sense. Why don't you
I have a meeting tomorrow with the rec commission, so I will be going to that. I will bring that up as part of
And then
something
once you
else.
guys decide, then you're going to have to recommend to the board.
Yeah.
And the board will say yay or nay, and if they say yay, they're going to have to let Tim spend $10,000 more, or let me spend $10,000, but that's going to be their decision.
So can I entertain a motion? Because I think it's important. We made it an old business item, and we've had this discussion before, and we will probably have this discussion again, that I would like to make the motion that based on discussions at the Communications Commission, it is recommended that the Recreation Commission and the Township Board begin discussions about installing and funding Wi-Fi capabilities at Water's Edge and Centennial Farm, and include the Communication Commission as a representative for giving information, factual information or background information.
I don't see why we can't be part of the
That-
budget situation.
But that gives Lauren a tool to
Yeah.
take to the board and say the commission recommends that this discussion be had at the board level.
Well, the board has a chip here now, and we recommend, they agree, when the board decides whether it be in study session, Lauren as a chip, whether she wants to lay it on the table or not, that the cable commission's willing to help refund it and will refund, will fund it. We'll do this if we get some kickback or some feedback.
It's accounting.
She's got a chip that she can, play, use the
Okay.
game as a representative for us.
And I will talk with them tomorrow night. I'll bring it into the meeting.
Well, before we can discuss this motion, we should have voted or had a second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm against it.
One,
No, I mean, we can-
one opposed.
The motion and the second is simply so that you can have a discussion of the motion. And then you have the discussion, and then you vote on the motion.
Then we can discuss, yes, I'm for the discussion.
So
I feel like we've already had it.
well, yeah, but,
I think we've been having it for 6 months, and the
Since
thing,
November.
okay.
we haven't moved forward.
Okay,
So, Lauren, you feel comfortable taking this issue to the board?
Oh, I will definitely take it to the board. I'm not sure that it needs to go, again, I feel like this has just been one of those things that we're taking it upon ourselves to do, and this, to me, is a recreation department expenditure, and they should be making this battle. We should not be bringing this to the board. This is something that the rec department should fully be taking on. If we want to give them advice, if we want to help them with research, we're more than happy to do that. Kathy's already taken it upon herself, and she's done it, which is great. But
I was
to me, right, and that's fantastic that you did it. But to me, it seems like this does not fall in this at all right now.
Right.
According to what we are right now. In the future, this may very well change,
Oh.
especially with these IT conversations. But
It's
but that is what the motion, in defense of my motion, that is what I'm trying to provide,
can you read it again?
is, I'll take out the based on, that we recommend that the Recreation Commission and Township Board begin discussions, maybe begin policy discussions about installing and funding Wi-Fi capabilities at Water's Edge and Centennial Farm, with the Communication Commission providing only informational support. I mean, what I'm trying, and we can reword this, what I'm trying to say is they need to have this discussion
Right. And the other thing.
and then come back to
Right,
us.
Right. And for funding.
Well, they need to talk about how, if they are going to install it, yes or no, and how they will fund it. Yeah, and that's a policy decision that
Sure.
we don't have a choice. If they choose yes, they have to figure out how are we going to fund it.
Yeah, so to me, based on the motion, it sounds as though we're saying, okay, Recreation Department, yeah, it's an okay idea. If you want to do it, go ahead, talk to the board. That's basically, to me, that's what it's saying. But again, even if it came back to us right now, to who we are and what we do and what we're charged with, we are not IT professionals. We might have some experience, we might dabble in it, we might be able to Google stuff and look into things and come up with some solutions. But to me, it seems like if the rec department decided that indeed this is a good thing and they want to do it, then at that point, their conversations should take place with Cygnus, who is our contracted IT professional consultant, not with us. Because I don't feel like I know enough about it to make an educated decision. And when we're talking about making an expenditure in our budget that we don't necessarily know a whole lot about, I just don't want to go there.
I really think what needs to be formed is an IT department.
Well, yes, and that can't happen overnight.
Yeah.
We're moving on that.
And until then, it seems like the rec department should have it in their court because it's going to be under their division.
They don't, listen, none of us really have the experience. Ted put in this beautiful upgrade. We no more had talent for that than we did for the website.
But that's what we're charged with.
We're charged with it, and we will be charged with more and more. And
Possibly.
and the thing is, that piece of paper's got to catch up, because we're the most likely people to do it. I don't see that the rec department, when they're too busy doing classes, that they have any idea what would go on with Wi-Fi. I just don't. And
Right.
the whole thing.
That's why we have CEDAS.
The whole thing stems back to, what's the board want? Do they want to stay in the last century, or do they want to move forward for the community? Because this is a community thing. I just don't understand why everybody's not saying, we should have done this 10 years ago. Because didn't you say, Ted, when they first brought cable in, they were going to wire everything?
We started talking about Wi-Fi back in 2001, 02. Roger Will had us looking into Wi-Fi in the whole island.
Right, but
Yeah.
we still don't know that that's necessary.
Well,
I
isn't Wi-Fi, I mean, if you break it down to...
It's a small amount of money.
It's a utility, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Water's has to provide water and electricity to
Right.
their tenants, and if they want to stay modern, they should start providing the
An amenity.
Wi-Fi.
I don't know the proper way to do this off the top of my head, but we could either vote down and kill the motion, or we can accept my rewrite, which I think captures what we're trying to do more.
Which is push it back in the hands of the rec
Yes.
department. which is-
Communication recommend that the Rec Commission and Township Board pursue discussions to determine whether or not to install Wi-Fi at Water's Edge and Centennial Farm, and if yes, how this technology upgrade should be funded.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah?
Let's move forward at least. We've got to move forward. $10,000 is such although it's a lot of money, it's really not in the big picture. It's rounding.
But there's other pictures. With
Oh, there's a lot of pictures, but you know what? You can look back at a lot of money that's gone in other things that wouldn't benefit the community a fraction of what this would. I mean, this is something for the community. And I just, everywhere you go, they've got it now.
The only problem is, Kathy, is that we really can't put it in the budget because it's not our authority. They have to decide they want it before anybody budgets it.
And they have to vote on
And they
it
have to
before they
vote on
come
it,
to us.
And they have to go to the township board and have the board vote on it, and then the discussions of how it's paid between, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna bring us up. I'm sure we're gonna be involved in that discussion, and, the opinions vary, but we could put, all kinds of money in the budget for things that, I want a 7-Eleven on the corner, but
Well,
Well, I think it's a little
The rec
different.
department
police-
needs a new van. So.
Well, the police department could come to us too and say, oh, we need new training video equipment, or we need a computer upgrade here, and that would not necessarily, we need more money for reverse 911. Well, it's a communication issue, sure, but does it fit into us? So
They're going to get into that eventually.
decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. It
And
just.
Kathy, I applaud your efforts. I think, you're absolutely right when it comes to, if we could Wi-Fi this entire island, I would be all for it, because you're right. The expectations, the modern thought process, the philosophy of being able to do business friendly and have this stuff accessible 24/7, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. But unfortunately, we're just not there yet from that. I'm with you,
Hey,
but financially,
it's-
we just can't do it, at least out of this budget. And as we start getting more sophisticated in our conversations and thought processes of creating an IT structure, creating, whether that's a department or an individual or a commission or something, it's going there. It is.
It's going there very slowly, and unfortunately, it's an opportunity.
uncovering all the stuff that.
It's an opportunity lost for Water's Edge, which I
It
have.
isn't.
I've heard so
You're
many.
gonna go to their meeting tomorrow, then.
We were having a
tell them-
special meeting. I will
Okay.
bring it up.
Tell them
believe me.
what we've decided tonight, that it really is in their area, that they need to be working with the board, and they need to decide what they're gonna do. And then they can decide how it's gonna be paid for, if they're gonna recoup any money from the people who use it, those sort of things. So,
well, and
Just to let you know, Kathy got involved because one of their commissioners, Tom, not
Yeah,
Mel Vesto, but Tom.
No, it was Mike.
Was it Mike?
Mike Swales.
He's
okay.
no longer on
Yes.
is he?
Yes, he's on the commission. He just joined Ford.
Oh, okay. I thought he left the commission.
Not to my knowledge.
He came to Kathy and it said, you know, we
Right.
want it, can you
Right.
make it happen? So, you know, when you ask Kathy to make something happen, look out.
Absolutely. But you know what,
Yeah.
too? I think it's the same when they were pursuing a kayak ramp or the volleyball court or the ice rink and so forth. There's a lot of passion on that commission as well, and they know how restrictive the recreation budget is, and so they always try to reach out beyond to see, you know, what other sources of funding are available for the improvements that they're seeking. A lot of the work at the marina was done by volunteers, you know, again, trying to get, you know, blood out of a stone.
Right.
So I applaud that passion, and you obviously have that passion too, Kathy.
And there are other ways of
And-
funding, because
and,
you've got
yeah.
Google funding, you've got all sorts of other options out there with corporate entities. There's an organization in Ypsilanti that does hotspots around town. So it's determining what other sources they
That's
can
true,
go after
yeah.
to get those sort of partnerships together, as opposed to us always having to foot the bill.
I just hate being the when they say Mayberry, that's not a compliment. We should not be Mayberry. We should be at the cutting edge. We have a wonderful area. We have a beautiful facility. It's unique. And we aren't maximizing the attractiveness. And that's what's, to me, we need to make it attractive. And especially, all I hear every time from everybody is, we want young people here, we want young people. Well, they won't come without Wi-Fi.
Well,
I know that's
We
simple.
have a meeting on the 27th, and if you're looking for speed, I mean, if you talk to Walton, they can discuss it on February.
I'm going to see them tomorrow night.
So, you know, and the final upshot, too, is that I think what drove my former colleague Pam Frucci crazy about what we do is government moves glacially.
Yes.
You can't turn on a dime, but that's responsibility. You know, you don't want to necessarily hold it up, but at the same time, you want to do it right and you want to follow the right steps. And so we're always going to walk that fine line between moving too fast and moving too slow. So,
All right, so we need
yeah.
to take a vote on that motion, correct?
yes.
Okay.
So shall I reread it one more
Yes,
time?
please.
Yeah.
Because I added 2 more words. The Communication Commission recommends that the Recreation Commission and the Township Board pursue discussions to determine whether or not to install Wi-Fi at Water's Edge and Centennial Farm as a capital improvement, and if yes, how this technology upgrade should be funded.
So you added Centennial Farm, you sneaky devil.
No, I added
there-
capital improvement.
I didn't hear
It is
Centennial Farm
capital.
the first
The
time
first time,
around.
yeah,
But
no.
anyway, that would make sense too. So you had already seconded, Richard, correct?
Yes.
All right, so let's take the whole vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, opposed? Okay, and it has passed.
So at the same time, Kathy, you can take this to
I
your
will.
meeting tomorrow. Lauren, you can take this to the board. Ted, you can take this to Tony. Oh, for crying out loud, Tim.
Walk softly.
It's been too long, huh?
It's been a long day.
It's been
Well-
a very long day.
There's no public comment. How about,
Well, did Laura announce the budget, is this?
yeah.
Yeah, we're all good with this, as you
Yes.
said?
Or is that
Yes.
tomorrow?
Okay, great.
Well, I think I'll stop by tomorrow just to have a little chat about it. Because I could share my passion for this.
Enthusiasm.
I just, you know, I know things move slowly, but
Kathy, I think we haven't heard the last that you have to say.
no, you haven't. I think it would help the
I think
community.
there's a vacancy too on the rec commission.
No. Anyways,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty.
Oh.
Is the